Hello and welcome everyone to our September product update livestream. I'm Nelson, founding engineer Beyond Identity, and I'm joined by my co-host and product GTM lead, Jingu. We're excited to share some of the stuff our team has been working on since last we met.
Totally. All right, quick reminders. First, we are with Beyond Identity. We provide the easiest universal passkey platform so developers like you and product teams can deploy the most secure and easy to use authentication on the planet. And secondly, we want nothing more than to hear from you. You can ask any questions or share your thoughts in the chat. All right, let's dive in. So, the last time, if you were here for our live stream, we previewed and demoed the first version of the passkey journey, and we have some updates. So here's the thing, right? Like, this is the context. Passkeys are powerful. They are the first and only authentication method that is both, one, extremely easy to use for users. You just log into your application how you would log into your phone, right? Typically, that's Face ID, Touch ID, a local device PIN. And passkeys are extremely secure. That is, they're phishing resistant, which is great.
Hey Jing, aren't passkeys just kind of hard to use for developers and PMs are not sure how to deploy them?
Yes. The answer to that question is yes. Passkeys are complicated, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And that's kind of our foundational belief, right? They're complicated because passkeys rely on a user's device and browser supporting a standard called WebAuthn. The standard is developed by W3C and codified by the FIDO Alliance. And it turns out a surprising number of users can't use passkeys, which leaves developers, designers, and product managers scrambling to solve over 30 permutations of user experience possibilities. So enough is enough, right? We can't live like this. So we built a free developer tool in a week at our last company hackathon that shows you exactly what your user experience will be when you introduce passkeys. So with the passkey journey, you can, one, see the exact percentage of users that can use passkeys. And two, you don't just see a percentage breakdown, you can actually click through user experience prototypes so that you get a feel for how the user experience will be when you introduce passkeys. And of course, you can share your custom report with just one click. You can get deployment recommendations as well. And we link out to our Beyond Identity ready-made passkey libraries powered by our SDKs. So within a couple days of putting it out in the world, I was expecting crickets. Just to be honest here, right? It's a kind of a niche tool for an authentication product, but we got thousands of visitors and over 25 pieces of feedback from engineers. So we said, okay, you guys have a lot to say about the product. Well, we're going to take the feedback, make the tool even better, and on Monday of this week, we launched on Product Hunt. So when we launched on Product Hunt, I woke up at 4 and we were sitting at number 22 product of the day. But by the time the 24 hours of the Product Hunt cycle ended, we ended up at top 7 product of the day with over 240 votes, 77 comments, and Beyond Identity landed as the second best authentication product of all of 2023. So that was super exciting, and I encourage you to go check it out on Product Hunt. You can just search the passkey journey or Beyond Identity. And of course, you can check out the passkey journey at thepasskeyjourney.com. Wow, what a simple URL. All right. Over to you, Nelson.
So next up, we're going to talk about a brand new feature that we just released, and it's called machine-to-machine authentication. It does exactly what you think it does. It enables developers to create 2 components, one in a client, one a server, and create tokens via our platform that one of those components can use to authenticate to the other, the client to the server. So why would you care about that? Well, turns out human beings are not the only ones that require authentication. You likely have APIs, microservices, other parts of the architecture that still need to prove that they are who they say they are. and machines need authentication too. So unauthorized access is still a very persistent threat, especially when our systems are interconnected. Developers need a secure mechanism to make sure that only authorized machines can communicate with each other and they can access exactly the resources they need and only the resources they need and perform whatever operations they're trying to do. That's one thing. We also need to ensure that systems are efficient and manual authentication between those machines is easy to scale. So what does it do? I'm going to show you a quick demo. So what you're about to see is I'm going to create a client, an access token, and I'm going to define granular scopes to enable secure authentication between two machines. Those scopes, which I think we showed you 2 live streams ago, allow you to set specific permissions. You can call those scopes whatever you want, read, write, clone, and those permissions now control what those machines are able to agree that one can do to the other. Let's switch to the desktop. There we are. If you haven't seen this is our Beyond Identity admin console. This is where you make all the changes as a developer, as a PM, as an administrator. We have a couple things here. I created what we call a resource server. A resource server is nothing more than a specification for the scopes that you're trying to create. I'm going to show you the one I have. There's 2 simple scopes, read and write. I can assign different roles each one of those scopes, and that will tell those roles what they should expect from the API. Other than that, I did create 2 roles, one for admins. The idea is admins will have read and write scopes, users will only have read. And then I created an app, I called it my backend API. And you'll see it's a normal Beyond Identity app. It has all the URLs. I called it my backend API, and it's using OAuth as a authentication protocol. It has where is it? The resource server, it's the one I showed you before. And then in terms of scopes, the read and write scopes are both allowed scopes for this token. Then because this is a backend API, there's a new tab that you can see here. I created an admin token, which have both scopes, and I'm going to show you how to create a user token that only has the read scope. I'm going to create that, and I now can copy that token, put it on my client, and authenticate to the server with that. And that's it for the demo. That's how the M2M functionality work. We would love to hear your feedback, and back over to you, Jing.
All right, thank you. Yay, machines. Today, I am bringing on a very special guest. Ooh. And we are going to preview our hosted web authenticator SDKs for, well, you guessed it, for the hosted web authenticator. So that was launched 2 live streams ago, and this is kind of our iteration on making that experience even simpler. So I am so happy to introduce Ishmael, who is the engineering manager for the team that is responsible for shipping all of these awesome features that we've been sharing with you month over month. So thank you so much for making this live stream possible and making our product possible. Will you please share what is happening with our SDKs?
Absolutely, I would be happy to. The front-end SDKs make it really easy for developers to use our hosted web authenticator. If you recall from a previous live stream, our hosted web authenticator abstracts away the complexities of authenticating with passkeys by handling enrollment, login, recovery, passkey creation, and all of the UI for you. However, in order to use the hosted web authenticator from a front-end JavaScript application, you would either need to wire up the OIDC flow yourself or use an off-the-shelf OIDC library. Both of these require managing state and sessions to a certain extent. Our front-end SDKs abstract all those complexities away by providing you with 3 simple functions: sign in, get user, and sign out. Since this is a preview, I'll demo this in the developer console. We also have some backend SDKs coming out. However, rather than demoing that, I'll give a high-level overview of what functionality to expect there. This is targeted to be live in October, so definitely keep an eye out. All right, so what we're seeing here is the code. We have a simple vanilla.js application. We're looking at our index.html file. What we have at the top here is 3 buttons defined, one corresponding to each of the functions that we provide from our front-end SDKs. The first is the sign in button. Then we have our get user button and our sign out button. Before we can start using the SDKs, we need to initialize it. And we initialize it using two values, an issuer URL and a client ID. We can get those values by creating an application in the admin console that Nelson showed us earlier. Once we have that client, we can call the sign-in function, and that's it. Handles the entire sign-in flow for you. Does an OIDC sign-in flow, and you end up with an access token, an ID token, and optionally a refresh token. The next function you can call is the getUser function, and you typically use that to check if you're signed in or not. If you get back a user, you're signed in. If you don't, this is where you would prompt the user to sign in. Finally, you can revoke the session and sign the user out by calling the sign out function. So let's see what this looks like in practice. We have our example app running here, and we have our three functions: sign in, get user, and sign out. If I click on sign in, it's going to redirect me to the hosted web authenticator. I'm going to go ahead, use my passkey to log in. I'm back in my example app, and I'm presumably in a signed in state. Let's actually verify this by clicking on get user. So I do that, and on the right side here, I get back a user, which means I am in fact signed in. If I try to sign in again, it says I'm already signed in, so no point going through the sign-in process again. But if I do want to go through that process again, I can sign out. And let's just double check that I'm signed out by clicking on get user. We see we get back an undefined, which means I am signed out. And if I click sign in, I can go through the process all over again. So that's it for our front-end SDKs. Let's take a look at our back-end SDKs. And the purpose of the backend SDKs is to make it really easy to interact with our front-end SDKs from your own backend. So let's take a look at the functionality that we actually have on our backend SDKs. By scrolling to the bottom here, we see one function that we offer is the initialize function. That's fairly straightforward. That's how you start using the SDK. Then we have our get access token function, and you would either inject this into your middleware or you would use this on each of your API endpoint handlers, and this extracts the access token from the bearer token header. You would use this in conjunction with the two functions down here, validate session offline introspect and validate session online introspect. Both of these functions validate the access token, and the difference is one actually reaches out to our introspect endpoint, whereas the other one doesn't. Finally, there's the get scopes function, and this allows you to extract the scopes from the session and manage access of specific API endpoints on a user-by-user basis. So that's it for both the front-end and back-end SDKs. We're releasing this sometime in October, and we really look forward to you trying this out.
Yeah, that looks great. Well, thank you so much for showing everybody what that will look like. And with that, that wraps up all of the updates that we have prepared for you. So check out the Passkey Journey at passkeyjourney.com. And if you want to keep in touch with our product developments, the best way to do that is to sign up for a free account. It's all free to use, and you can find us at www.beyondidentity.com/developers. Any final parting thoughts?
No, none from me.
All right. Okay, I do have one thought. We also have a developer Twitter and Slack, so you can come ask us questions, get all of your authentication questions answered by the experts, aka Nelson, Ishmael, and sometimes myself. And our Twitter handle is at bi-developers, where I occasionally post a lot of memes. So please come through, come hang out with us, come talk to us, let us know what you think. Again, you can find everything at beyondidentity.com/developers. Sign up so you'll be first to know when we actually drop some of these super exciting features like the front-end SDKs and the back-end SDKs. All right, bye for now.